Today I'm going to be eating what could be the fanciest fish and chips I've ever had in my life. So what is in this fish and chips? Well, let's go try it and find out. So the place I'm going to for this fanciest ever fish and chips is a pub called the Dexter, which you may not have been expecting, but it does do a fish and chips that's a little different from the norm, and it does seem a more upmarket pub compared to a place like Wetherspoons, which is towards the cheaper end. So let's head in and check it out. The inside looks and feels like a standard pub. It feels homely and cosy with the decor and colour scheme. You have loads of seating available spread throughout the building. I arrived just before lunchtime, so it wasn't too busy, but it did fill up the closer it got to lunch. The menu is your typical pub menu with the usual classics such as burgers, pastas and various grill items, but there are a few unusual or standout items that you wouldn't normally find on your normal pub menu, which is exactly why I chose to visit and have lunch here. Because the meal I'm going for today is called the POSH fish and chips right there. Plus my usual pot of tea, which came with a Twinings tea bag. So a little bit of a more fancy tea as opposed to PG Tips or Tetleys. One extra thing you do get here though is Smarties with your cup of tea. I think this is the first time I've ever seen that, but I'm not complaining because I love Smarties. Anyway, let's make a quick cup before the food arrives. Also, I couldn't resist. When I see Smarties, I have to eat Smarties. So I had a few as a bit of a sweet starter. Right, so here is the POSH fish and chips I ordered. It looks normal, but there is something different about this one. So let's have a closer look at exactly what you get. You get a portion of mushy peas, a wedge of lemon, a pot of chunky tartar sauce, and then this is where it gets interesting, as you get 2 sea bass fillets hand battered in pale ale batter, and then you have the chips underneath. Let's dig in. I'm going to start with putting a bit of salt, but not vinegar, as this is POSH fish and chips, so I think it deserves a squeeze of fresh lemon instead. The first thing I have to try, I think, is the chips. You do get a decent portion, although you can't see them as they're hiding under the fish. They have a good golden brown colour. Let's see how they taste. Very nice. You get a slight delicate crisp to the outside. You get that fried or baked potato flavour too. I'm not sure if these are oven cooked or fried, but if I had to guess, I'd go with oven cooked. The inside is soft and fluffy, and because these are thicker chips, you do get a substantial bite to it and a subtle potato flavour. These are not bad. While we're on chips, I have to try one dipped in the tartar sauce. Now it's called chunky tartar sauce on the menu, so there should be big bits of, I'm guessing, gherkin in there. I've got a good coating on this chip. Let's go in for a taste. Decent. It might be a little strange for me to say, but this tartar sauce kind of reminds me of a burger sauce. It has a burger sauce taste to it. It has notes of a McDonald's Big Mac. It's not very creamy, but more vinegary sour. There are chunks of gherkin in there, which would explain the sour taste. It's probably not one of the best tartar sauces I've ever had, so it's just okay for me. Let's move on to the mushy peas. There's quite a few whole ones in there, along with mashed ones. The colour is on the paler side, which I do prefer as it looks more natural. Let's try them out. Nice. The peas are soft but still have a slight bite, as a lot of them are still whole, so you do get a bit of a chew, which is nice. The pea flavour is subtle though. I would have preferred it to be stronger, but that's just my taste. So for me, a little on the bland side. I need to sneak a quick combo before I move on to the fish. I think a chip with a bit of mushy peas will do. Let's try it. Very good. Right, it's time for the fish. It's not just any fish though, because as mentioned, this is sea bass, so a little more on the fancier side. You get two in this meal, which is great. Let's cut into one and see the fish in the middle. The sea bass is a lovely and white colour. It's got the skin on. It's not the thickest piece of fish I've ever seen, but then again, sea bass is not as big a fish as say a cod. And with you getting two fillets, it is probably the equivalent of a regular big cod or haddock fillet. I've cut off a little piece to try. I've got a bit of the fish, I've got a bit of the skin, and I've got a bit of the pale ale batter. There's only one thing left to do: eat it. Delicious. You immediately get a crunch as soon as you bite into the batter. It's definitely crispy, that's for sure. This is a deep fried piece of fish and not overcooked, which sometimes it can be. I always prefer the fried version. The fish in the middle is soft and delicate. You for sure get the sea bass flavour, which I think is stronger than cod or haddock. The skin adds an extra layer of crispiness and also a bit of a chew as well. I have to try out a piece of the fish on its own, because after all, that's the main attraction here. I've cut off a piece, it's glistening in the light and already starting to flake apart, so let's go ahead and eat it before it does. Amazing! It's definitely more flavourful than cod or haddock, and also a bit more moist too. It's more buttery. Who would have thought sea bass would work well in a fish and chips? I want to try out a bit of the batter on its own too, as it mentioned on the menu that it's a pale ale batter, so I want to see if that flavour comes through. Delicious. The batter is a very light one, almost like a tempura batter. It's so crispy, there's no stodge to it. The ale flavour is probably too subtle for me to notice, but either way, I like it. Okay, I think it's combo bite time. This first one is the classic. The light ale batter with the flavoursome sea bass and a chip. Let's do it. Fantastic. I need to do one with the mushy peas. This is probably the bite that most people have at a chip shop, but with this one, it's fancified. Let's try it. Delicious. And for the ultimate bite of this meal, everything on the plate. When you have a fish and chip meal like this, you always need to have a bite with everything. So here it goes. Incredible. What a nice change to have something a little different from the norm. You would never expect it, but I think sea bass works. It's definitely the best thing in this meal, which has got me thinking, what other fish would work in a fish and chips? I'm sure there are places out there that experiment, so I just need to find them. In the meantime, I polished off this meal with combo after combo, making sure I got a bit of sea bass with every bite till the end.
So that was a really nice fish and chips. The sea bass was a good change from the regular cod or haddock. So the total cost of that meal was £14.98. Was that worth it? Comment down below your thoughts. For me, I would say it was. The meal was delicious and sea bass is normally on the expensive side, so this time definitely worth it for me. Okay, if you like the video, click on the thumbs up icon below and click on subscribe to come along for the next food journey, and I'll see you there.